What's going on, y'all, and welcome back to another Epic 7 video. Today is the Eligos honest review. I pulled him so you don't have to, especially those of you on the fence. Maybe you don't play speed, maybe you're not sure how good he is. I played against him a lot. I played with him a little bit as well, even against some legend players, and yeah, I have a lot to discuss with y'all overall, and I think I can help a lot of you decide whether or not you want to pull right now, skip, as well as some other info in terms of gearing, skills, how it all worked, how he fits in the current meta, all that good stuff. So thank you so much for tuning in. Let's get into it. Real quick before we start, guys, you already know what I'm going to ask you. You know the drill. If you already did pull for Eligos, or if at the end of this video you decide to pull for him, I don't think a lot of you will, spoiler alert, but let me know how your summons go. I had to pity, but luckily I got 3 artifacts of his along the way, and if you notice, I'm not even using his artifacts, so not super happy with it, but that is kind of a nice, you know, trade-off for pitting. If you guys got some bad luck on pity as well, let me know. My heart goes out to you. Hopefully there's not a crazy collab around the corner. I don't think there is, but yeah, I'm out of bookmarks now. Okay guys, first things first, my Eligos build is not the best, at least for the way I think he works best in, and unfortunately if I'm having trouble even reaching, you know, kind of nice stats that he'll run comfortably in, not even amazing in, just comfortably, I think a lot of y'all watching are going to struggle as well, because unfortunately if you're not wailing out or insanely lucky, and you can get this crit chance imprint, his crit is so low, he needs a lot of help in that regard. So I wouldn't even think about pen set, guys. I really think speed is super important. We'll break that down here in a second. And I want to show you all something in terms of gearing. Let's go ahead and show my good friend Tristan Wolf's Eligos. He is a cleaver by nature, so obviously he has a lot of speed gear. Actually, guys, let me know how many of y'all can make a 300 speed Eligos with still, you know, having some offensive stats on top of it to boot. But here we have a 300 Eligos, and I'll tell you why that's important in just a sec. But I want y'all to notice the crit chance here while I show off my match against Tristan. A lot of my advice, guys, is going to be from myself fighting Eligos. I had a ton of time playing him as well, but I think I learned better fighting him, as he's not really my style of unit. But I can speak from both points here and there. I fought a lot of players that have greater gear for speed type play, and I learned a lot today in Eligos. So if you look back at Tristan's gear here, guys, 300 speed, very nice. Good offensive stats still while having 300 speed, which is actually crazy. No pen set, but he has the hit set, and on top of that, he has 85 crit, which makes sense because the Eligos grants perception, right? Unfortunately, guys, there's something very important to know that a lot of people may have overlooked. So many people in my chat overlooked this, but unfortunately, Eligos' perception is only granted after the attack of the time bomb. If you just read the wording, it always is left to right in terms of order of operations, and this is confirmed. Attacks the enemy with a bomb and then grants perception to the caster for 2 turns. This really needs to be changed where perception happens beforehand, and then we can start, you know, having a little bit better time on gearing. Maybe we don't need to have a triple S Eligos for whales only, but I just want to talk about something real fast in terms of stats, guys. I know I've been getting so many comments on people not excited for Eligos, not happy with Amid, Lua. I know we got Bologna, but besides her, we had units like Leica coming up that all look to be speedy, that need a lot of speed, and have this game plan that's revolving all about speed. And unfortunately right now a lot of players just can't hit that speed. If you're not lucky, if you're not wailing out doing tons of hunts, it's a tough stat to fish for because you need multiple rolls into a single stat, right? And if you can't get all those rolls into one stat, it's just very, very hard to run these styles of units because you're going to get outsped and you're just going to lose your entire game plan. So I understand the frustration, guys. I share your sentiment, but let's move past that. For those of you that still want to play Eligos, I want to learn more about him and hear my ultimate take overall. You guys can kind of get a hint at what I'm saying here though already. Let's go ahead and talk about it. So we want to make sure we are higher than 85 crit in my opinion, because if you're playing that all-in cleave style that Eligos I think shines in, you really want to make sure this time bomb crits as well. I've heard this thing can kill units like Senya still as long as you get that crit. So we want to make sure we get crit chance going through to 100%. Because the perception unfortunately will not add. I hope Smilegate maybe will, we don't even need this a balance patch if they just adjust the perception to happen right before. That's not even really a buff. I think that's how it should work in my opinion, but that is how it works right now, guys. So make sure you either have a ton of crit chance imprints or you gear to be 100% crit for the cleaner, the skill 2 time bomb to be you know, fully maxed out. Overall though, guys, Eligos, when I talk about speed, why it's so important, he is an opener style unit. He can push back their opener, dispel any buffs that they might have, apply target break, or sorry, excuse me, target and defense break, and then set up units that follow after to kill, right? Because you push back their, you know, their faster units, and then he'll activate the cleaner, go into time bomb, and then any of his follow-up turns, and hopefully he's protected this entire time by guiding light. His follow-up turns will proc dual attack because he got a kill, he got perception, increased damage, and then, you know, he's cleaning up from there as per his skill names. So ultimately, we want to make an aggressive comp that, you know, kind of just blends nicely. I think he runs really well with units like Mid. Anything that can follow up after his strip, defense break, anything with damage that can cut in between your opponent's units as well. The more will secure the cleaner, the time bomb, and then lead into the skill 1 dual attacks. And then from there, that's all she wrote. So, and I think, in my opinion, you really need some maximum speed, otherwise we're going to get punished by units like Conqueror Lilius that can either be faster as well as remove our Guiding Light. That's kind of what we need to worry about. Other units maybe that can contest them that have AoEs as well, we need to be wary some of, even with the Guiding Light active. But if we can get our game plan of going first, I think the sky's the limit. Things like Leica, like Mid, are going to look so good with him. Any damage dealer that can capitalize off that D-break target, which is almost anyone that has some speed, I think you're just going to have a fun time overall. Now, do you need a unit like Eligos? I think he's very niche, even if you're a cleaver out there, guys. I've been talking with a bunch of cleavers today, and his style is super niche unless he gets some adjustments in there. Let's talk about why he might not be the best, even if you like this style of play. So I fought against him a ton, and unfortunately, guys, I think for players that, like myself, that play tank down with effect resist stacking, you're gonna be in a bad time fighting players like that, especially units that are players that like to pick things like Karina, Senya. I pick a tank always alongside Maid, stacking effect resist on everybody. All my units have anywhere after the Maid buffs of 100 to 150 effect resist, even my DPS. And Eligos, if he doesn't soul burn, so if you're fighting a Bellion, let's say you don't have books, you're not going to be able to land a target defense break or dispel anything. And with how tanky players play against, you know, cleave comps that Eligos likes to be a part of, I think you're going to really struggle landing the kill to start getting him activated into the S2, S1, etc. So be wary, guys, of players that stack ER. It may not be super uncommon depending where you're at in PvP, RTA especially, but you will encounter it a lot at higher levels. At least I think it's coming around. So be careful of anyone that picks Maid. Obviously, just pre-ban Bellions. Make sure you bring multiple books so that way you can get the soul burn. Otherwise, play it by ear, and if you're playing another cleaver, another fast player, and you just hope to outspeed them, then you probably don't need the effectiveness or the ignore effect resist on the soul burn effect, right? So he's kind of like an Elfelt opener. I think there's other openers, guys, that are much easier to run, that don't need crazy gear, that, well, I think all cleave needs crazy gear, but you don't need as much gear as Eligos, don't need triple S imprints, don't need multiple books. And so I really can't recommend him for any of y'all watching. Any player that's strong enough, that has enough gear to make him shine, they're not going to be watching this video. I think that's my overall point. So just be very careful, guys. I don't want to crush any of y'all's dreams. If you think you can make Eligos shine, I want you to go for it. Remember, this is a video game, so we're playing it for fun. Just understand that you're going to be going through some gear grind, some tough times rolling gear. Don't get frustrated, and hopefully y'all can make it work much better, at least, than I can. But yeah, let's go and talk about artifacts, skill enhancements, all that. So to recap, guys, Eligos is a very, very stat-hungry unit that, especially if you're not able to triple S him for that bonus crit, you're going to need a lot of speed. You're going to need a lot of stats to make sure where crit is above 85. Remember, the perception, if you skipped ahead in the video, does not activate for the time bomb, which is pretty important, at least in my opinion. And then you're going to want to make sure you still can maintain some good attack and crit damage on top of that. So very, very stat-hungry unit. But if you guys are somehow lucky enough to have a bunch of speed gear lying around, as well as maybe able to triple S him to make him really, really shine and get that defense pen set as well, or penetration set, hey, I think you guys can make Eligos look insane. Now, in terms of skill enhancements, I did a Grace of Growth, which I think is okay for those of you thinking about it. And eventually, you're going to want to plus 15 him because he's a damage unit, guys. Get all the damage you can, and he will be pressing those skill 1s. But a lot of our momentum is gained from the Cloak and Trigger leading into skill 2. And the skill 1, a lot of the damage is going to come from our dual attack, you know, the target we're bringing with us, our ally. So you can probably skimp here eventually, but like I said, plus 15 him in the end. And then last but not least, guys, I'm not even going to talk about his artifact because unfortunately, Guiding Light is just too powerful. Now, don't get me wrong. His artifact does have some unique properties. And if you were talking about other areas of the game, maybe Arena Guild Wars PvE, I didn't even really consider any of that just yet. I'm strictly talking about RTA at the higher Emperor/Legend level. I think you really need to just run Guiding Light unless you guys can run some other types of builds. And speaking of, I did try to test, you know, slower style Eligoses at the 250 range speed with some bulk, 220 with some mega bulk. But unfortunately, guys, my tests, they did not really end up running too well, too hot. And on top of that, currently I have an issue. If I want to test units in real-time arena, right now I feel like there's not a lot of people playing. I'm almost legend, and at this point I only fight legend players. And imagine me, a tanky slow player, trying to fight legends with a unit that doesn't really fit my style, and I'm trying to play him on a gimmick, you know, weird build that's not typically how he's run. It just wasn't working. I was getting crushed. I can't really test him, at least at the moment, unless I lower my rank. So let me know if you guys find any out of the box builds. I would love to hear them and try them out myself. But overall, once again, in closing, very stat hungry unit, needs a ton of speed. Other units can work just as well. I think if you're already running him, if you're already a cleaver, you probably have other options that will work just as well. Now stay tuned. Emma Leica might make him look really nice as well. Maybe they have a cool pairing, but I think for 99% of y'all watching, he's an easy skip unless you really like him, want to collect him, or you're somehow geared out the wazoo. Okay, so overall, guys, go ahead and take that for what you will. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.